We all live and we raise our kids and we play right here in this area, and it's incredibly important to live in a natural and a healthy environment. Sustainability is an incredibly important part of the Wild Horse tradition, the Wild Horse story, and there's a lot of different parts that tie into it. We have over 50 varieties of heirloom tomatoes in the winery. This is a garden that has been part of this winery since day one 25 years ago, and then we also have a culinary herb garden as well as a really intense composting program. And what that allows us to do is to limit the amount of pesticides and fertilizers that we use in the winery, and to really do it in a more natural way. We have owl boxes as well as resident hawks, and quite simply what this does for us is it gives us 24/7 rodent control. It's just a better way to do it rather than having to put poison or something else out for it. Floyd protects the Barbados sheep that we have. And the reason the sheep are here is to keep the vegetation down around the ponds, so we don't have to come up here and spray Roundup or weed whack it. But it's also common knowledge that the coyotes like to snack on the sheep, and so Floyd protects the sheep from the coyotes. Our watershed is part of the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. So Wild Horse, what we like to do with our processed water is to treat it and then blend it with fresh water, and then we return that water right back into the vineyard, and it keeps it all on site, so it's a real closed loop and doesn't allow any of our water to leave the site and get into the Salinas River. There's an old Native American saying that says that the land is not given to you by your parents, it's lent to you by your children. And I think that it's part of our inner hippie, outer geek philosophy that goes along with the winery.
The Central Coast is kind of an interesting mix of a little bit of all of California. So we're looking for those sites all over the Central Coast where we can limit naturally the yield on our grapes in order to concentrate flavors and kind of get those unique flavor profiles.
I feel like a kid in a candy store. Because we're not just pulling from the estate, we are able to highlight all of the great regions along the Central Coast and be able to use those and blend them together. And it's quite a treat being able to source from Santa Barbara County all the way up, San Benito County.
This is our open top fermentation room, so most of our Pinot Noir is fermented in here. We've got 7-ton, 10-ton, 12-ton, and 15-ton open top fermenters. Fabienne over here is taking samples for the lab. She's running bricks and temp to monitor our fermentation so we know where we are in the process. So we're coming out of the racking valve on this open top fermenter here, going through the pump and circulating the juice up over the top of it. We've kind of chosen a layout in this room. We've changed it so that we can get to each of the open top tanks and dump the fruit in as opposed to pumping it through a must line. And then once the fruit is in the different containers, for instance like this one, this is a 7-ton open top fermenter, and you can see the scaffold that we have up here. You can stand up on the scaffold here with this tool here and do a punch down, which is one way for cap management. And I like that a lot, and it works really well in these particular containers. The larger fermenters, this is a 15-ton and this is a 12-ton fermenter here. We're limited a little bit by space up on top, and the cap will become fairly thick, so it works a little bit better to do the pump over like we saw over here. And in both ways they can be executed so that we get a nice tannin profile and not over extraction, but good extraction. We end up with the color that we're looking for in the wine. This is our bladder press, the DME. It's at the end of the cycle, so we actually loaded that with a truckload of grapes, which is 22 tons, will go into that machine. We have a program cycle in there. We push the button and it goes through a series of very gentle pressings at different pressures to gently extract the Chardonnay juice. And then when it's completed, you can see that the pumice coming out of it is fairly dry. It's just like smashed skins. And that gets discarded. It becomes compost, goes out in the compost pile, goes back out in the vineyard eventually after it's composted down. And then as soon as this is moved aside, then we'll go ahead and load the press again with another load of Chardonnay, and we'll begin the process.
People who play music, they feel the rhythm, it comes naturally to them, and I feel the same way about making wine. You can feel it or you don't, and sometimes it's hard to describe that feeling, but when you know you have it, you have it. My approach to winemaking is an extension of kind of myself in the way that I want to keep things really genuine, and I don't want to manipulate the wine. The grapes that we source here are of such special high quality that we don't need to throw a lot of things at it to make them really good. So I try to keep that genuine approach. And then the second thing is always continuing to strive to make them better.